Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to do a deep dive into one of the biggest challenges that language learners face, pronunciation.
Yeah.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at English pronunciation and the challenges faced by native Russian speakers.
It's so interesting how certain sounds in one language can be totally
Yeah.
foreign to speakers of another language,
That's right.
and it
Yeah,
really affects how they learn a new one.
exactly. So we've got this snippet here that
Yeah.
focuses on common pronunciation errors that Russian speakers make when learning English.
Great.
So for all of our Russian-speaking listeners out there who are trying to improve your English and sound more fluent,
Mm-hmm.
this episode is for you. We've got a ton of insights
Yeah,
to help you fine-tune your pronunciation.
definitely.
So let's start with the basics.
Sure.
Why is English pronunciation so tricky for Russian speakers?
Well, it all boils down to the differences in the sound systems of the two languages. Our snippet explains that a lot of the issues stem from sounds that simply don't exist in the Russian language, leading to mispronunciation or sometimes even omitting or substituting sounds altogether.
It makes sense. I mean, it's like if you've never encountered a certain sound before,
Mhm.
how do you even begin to
At least
replicate
sound.
it?
Yeah, it's like trying to use tools you've never seen before.
Yes.
You need to understand them first.
Okay, so let's break it down even further.
Right.
What are some of the specific sounds that Russian speakers tend to struggle with?
Okay, so let's start with vowels.
Right.
Russian actually has fewer vowel sounds compared to English.
Huh.
This can make it really challenging for Russian speakers to distinguish and reproduce the nuances of English vowel sounds. For instance, the snippet specifically mentions a few vowel pairs that are often confused.
Okay, like what?
One is the I sound as in sheep
Okay.
versus the S sound as in ship.
I am.
These two sounds can sound very similar to a Russian speaker
I can imagine.
because Russian doesn't have that distinction.
Right.
Another tricky pair is as in moon and he as in put.
Moon and put.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, subtle differences in pronunciation that can be difficult for Russian speakers to master.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, we have as in bed and a as in bad.
Interesting.
These are often mixed up as well.
Okay, so vowels are tricky,
Yeah.
but I imagine consonants are no walk in the park either.
Oh, absolutely not.
What are some of the consonant conundrums that Russian speakers face?
Oh, there are a bunch. A big one is the W versus V distinction.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
So to make the W sound like in water, you round your lips,
Louder, yeah.
almost like you're about to say, ooh. Whereas for V, as in very, you lightly touch your teeth to your lower lip.
I see.
These sounds are produced quite differently in the mouth. And again, since Russian doesn't have these exact sounds, speakers often substitute them with similar sounds from their native language.
It's like they're trying to find the closest equivalent in their own sound system.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay. And what other tricky consonants are there?
Well, the R sound is another one that can be quite challenging for Russian speakers.
Interesting. What makes the R sound so difficult?
Well, it's produced by curling the tongue back in the mouth,
Okay.
a sound that doesn't really exist in Russian
Huh.
and can take a lot of practice to get right.
So what do they do instead?
Often, they'll substitute it with a sound that's closer to a G or AL sound.
Oh, I see.
So instead of red, it might sound more like lead,
Yeah,
or W sound like wed.
that makes sense.
Then there's the infamous th sound, as in think or this.
Oh, yeah, the fifth.
That one's a real tongue twister.
Literally.
Right. It's a completely foreign sound for Russian speakers.
Mm-hmm.
To make it, you have to gently place your tongue between your teeth
Between your teeth. Okay.
and blow air out.
It's almost like a lisp.
Yeah, it can sound like that if you're not careful.
Right, right.
And then we have the voiced and unvoiced consonants.
Okay, what's the difference?
So voicing refers to whether or not we use our vocal cords when making a sound.
Oh, yeah.
Take S and Z, for example.
Got it.
When you say S, it's just air, no vocal cord vibration. But when you say Z, you can feel your vocal cords vibrating.
Z. Oh, yeah, I can feel it.
Right. That's the difference between voiced and unvoiced consonants.
That's fascinating. I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, we often take these things for granted as native speakers.
Right. So how does that trip up Russian speakers?
Well, Russian has similar sounds to S and Z, but the distinction between voiced and unvoiced isn't as crucial as it is in English.
So they might use them interchangeably.
Exactly. And that can change the meaning of words.
Ah, so pronunciation really is crucial.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about sounding good, it's about being understood.
Exactly.
So we've talked about vowels and consonants.
Yep.
What about word stress?
Oh, word stress is another big one.
How so?
Well, like consonants and vowels, English and Russian have different ways of stressing words. In English, the emphasis we put on certain syllables can actually change the meaning of a word.
I've heard that before.
For example, take the word present.
Present, yeah.
If you stress the first syllable, it means a gift.
Right, present.
But if you stress the second syllable, it means to give something.
Oh, present, like giving a presentation.
Exactly.
So word stress can be a real game changer.
It can. And it's something that Russian speakers often struggle with because the rules of word stress in Russian are different from English.
That makes sense.
One tip for learning proper word stress is to listen to native speakers and try to imitate the way they emphasize syllables.
So it's all about listening and imitating.
Pretty much, yeah.
So much to keep in mind.
It is, but don't be overwhelmed.
No, it's fascinating.
It is, right.
I love learning about all these nuances.
Me too.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be aware of these common pronunciation pitfalls.
Yeah.
Once you know what to look out for, you can focus your practice on those specific areas.
So it's all about targeted practice.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different techniques. Find what works best for you.
That's such great advice.
And remember, the key to mastering pronunciation is consistency.
Okay.
The more you practice, the better you'll become.
It's like anything else, right? Practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive into the world of English pronunciation.
It has.
And I hope it's been helpful for our Russian-speaking listeners.
I hope so too.
Just remember, even native speakers make mistakes sometimes.
All the time.
So don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Exactly. Enjoy the journey of learning a new language.
That's what it's all about.
All right, everyone. That's it for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.